All right, so today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin's price action, but before we do so, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, basically at FXStreet. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow us on Twitter. The analyst that we'll be talking today and providing you with this analysis is basically myself, right? Ali Martinez. You can follow me at Ali_charts in Twitter. You can also follow Akash at Mike and Co with a 0 at the end. And you can follow Jonathan, which is basically just analysis one. Now, when I'm looking at Bitcoin's price action from an on-chain perspective, one of the main things that I have seen is that it has basically lost a critical area of support, right? That $42,000 to $45,000 represented a significant area of interest where a big number of addresses have basically previously purchased Bitcoin between $42,000 and $45,000, right? I do believe that if we get a potential downswing below $40,000, all of those addresses will be forced to sell some of their holdings, right, to prevent seeing their investments going, into the reds, which could potentially accelerate a downswing towards basically lower lows, right? I mean, when we look at the global in and out of the money, it tells you that the next most significant support level basically sits anywhere between $12,000 and $35,653. I believe that the immediate target in the event of a downswing below $40,000, right, would be 35,653 based on the global in and out of the money around price, right? Another key metric that I'm looking at from an on-chain perspective, well, is first that Bitcoin, I mean, based on the NVRV 30-day ratio, is currently sitting in the opportunity zone. But because basically all of those addresses that purchased Bitcoin within the past 30 days currently sit at minus 7.5%, in profits. I mean, in losses, basically, right? So if they were to sell today, those addresses that bought Bitcoin within the past 30 days, it will incur a 7.50% loss. So what that basically tells you is that, I mean, the lower this ratio goes, I mean, the less investors are inclined to sell because they not necessarily want to sell at a loss, right? I mean, the key buying opportunities actually come a little bit lower for Bitcoin, as we have seen before. Let me throw it back to, over the past 2 years. So we go back over the past 2 years, right? I mean, we do see that some of the buying opportunities come when these investors or the NVRB 30D ratio is basically around 25%. Right now, it currently sits around 7%. So what this tells you is that there is still a lot of potential to go further low before a really strong buying opportunity comes in, right? I mean, we have seen before that in previous market rebounds, right? Like right here in 2019, after Bitcoin peaked in mid-June, basically the NVRV 30D ratio went down to around 15%, right, to present a buying opportunity. Then it also went down to around 15% in late September, right, which kind of like saw prices rise, and once again it presented another buyer opportunity around 15%, right? So over the past, in September 20th, Bitcoin basically came down to around 13%, which present a small opportunity to basically profit in there, right? I mean, with the upswing towards basically $45,000, right, that we saw recently. So now I believe that there is still room for the NVRV 30D to go lower, to actually present a golden opportunity for the continuation of the uptrend, right? Kind of like the same thing we can see it in the NVRV 365-day ratio, which basically tells you, I mean, what is the current stance of those addresses that bought Bitcoin within the past year. They still are in average at around 3.4% profits, which is good, but you definitely want to see this dive down to the negative zone so that it presents a buying opportunity, right? Something quite important that I saw over the weekend was the significant increase in the number of holdings that basically addresses with 100 to 10,000 Bitcoin have, right? They basically increased their holdings by 80,000 Bitcoins. So it seems that they could have bought 80,000 Bitcoins, right? I mean, with the whole situation that is going on with the Chinese crackdown and a lot of basically, Bitcoin holders are moving their tokens around, right, to avoid kind of like the sanctions that the Chinese government is imposing. That's what, could take a little bit of the credibility from this metric. And maybe what happened here wasn't necessarily a purchase of Bitcoin, but more of a reshuffling in the wallets, right? Because if we were to go down to the number of wallets that hold basically 10,000 to 100,000 Bitcoin, we see that significant downswing right there, while the number of addresses with 100 to 10,000 Bitcoin goes up, right? So what that basically tells you right there is that it's probably, some wallets reshuffling their holdings. So yeah, I mean, as of right now, based on what I'm seeing from an on-chain perspective, I believe that Bitcoin still has a little bit of room to go down before it actually presents an opportunity to profit. And also, I mean, the interest on the network is also going down, right? I mean, we saw a significant increase in the number of new addresses joining the network from basically July 20th until September 7th. But since then, basically the number of new addresses joining the Bitcoin network continues to go down. We would like to see this trend kind of like make a higher high to be 100% certain that interest is coming back. If this metric continues to go down, then I believe that, yeah, I mean, the bearish case will take over and Bitcoin could potentially go down towards $35,600. But once again, as of right now, I don't see any significant support underneath Bitcoin unless it is able to close above $45,000. If it's able to close above $45,000, then I could see a potential upswing towards 51,000 and eventually around 57,000. But if that doesn't happen and Bitcoin actually closes on a daily basis below $40,000, then we could get a sell-off towards $35,600. But yeah, that's basically what I'm seeing from an on-chain perspective. I don't know if your TA differs, Jonathan.
No, that matches up well with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you want to show us what you're seeing from a technical perspective?
Sure. Pull that up. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can.
Okay. Where'd you go? All right. Should be coming up here. So from a technical perspective, there's a couple things to look at. First is, so I'm a Ichimoku analyst, Gann and Ichimoku analyst, and then I trade off of point figure. But the volume profile for 2021 on the left here, volume point of control is all the way down here at 33,800. And it hasn't been tested since that was developed, and we broke out above it back in July-ish or so. But then when you're looking at where it's at now, 42,000, that's the 50% fib retracement from this swing around your low to high here. But below that, the only support that exists here is now at 40K. So 40,000 is it's a psychological number, but then the 618 retracement is there, and then the last support level in Ichimoku is at that 40K level. And once it closes, if Bitcoin closes below Senko Span B, then it's fulfilled all the requirements for one of the most looked out for bearish entry conditions called the ideal bearish Ichimoku breakout. That is when, without going through all the conditions, that will be fulfilled. And so the next level below that I see as some type of support structure is at 35K. That's where the 618 extension is at. It falls into the high volume node where the 2021 volume point of control is at. And then the lagging span also will intercept the single span B as a support level. So there's a lot of, but it might go lower. I mean, if you're looking at this from a, yeah, even if you're using Hosada's wave principle in Ichimoku, or if you're using Elliott wave, I mean, if you go to the weekly chart, let's use a different one here. You look at a weekly chart, I mean, this is only if this is an ABC correction and this is B, C is quite a ways down yet. And just to get a rough idea of where that would be, I mean, you're looking at a dive down towards that even lower at 24K. That's a 100% extension. And with fib expansions, the 100% level is frequently where things go down to. The most ideal level is down here, but I don't think that's very realistic. But 24K, certainly. There's a lot of people down here that would be trapped. And the lower Bitcoin goes, the more pressure you have on people who bought up here, who feel hope that they're going to go back to break even, who are hanging on and are still down. And then you get closer to people who are here who are upset that they didn't sell up here. And it's just a recipe for a fairly quick drop and extensive move further south. And yeah, it'll drag the whole market with it. So yeah, it'll be an interesting ride here. I mean, 35K is really like conservative, but move down to that 24K, I don't think that that's outside the realm of possibility at all. I think that's a very realistic level to hit.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, it does seem like you're leaning a little bit bearish right here. Is that right? With a potential first target of around $35,000, and then of course, if that breaks, I mean, you will be waiting for the 30K, support level to break, so that you can target $24,000, right?
Right. But there's, I mean, as bearish as that is, there's an opportunity for bulls though, because if buyers stay within the cloud here, if you want to see a conversion to a full-on bull market again within the Ichimoku system, then the lagging span here is what you have to watch. And that needs to be back above the candlesticks. Well, currently that threshold would mean you would have to have a close of Bitcoin around 53K. But by October 5th or 6th, that threshold drops where you need to have it close around 47 to 48K. And so if people stay in here, if buyers are able to support it over the next 6 days or so, there is a possibility that you could get supportive buying coming in and then returning Bitcoin higher. And that's not very likely given the structure and the current risk off sentiment that's going on right now. But yeah, that's a possibility.
Yes, so it does seem that what I'm looking at from an on-chain perspective is kind of like the same thing that you're looking at from a technical perspective, right? So we're looking at if Bitcoin is able to hold above 40K, basically, then there is a potential for bulls to come in, right? But they will need to push prices. I mean, for me, would be above 45K, and then of course 50K for final confirmation. So that we can potentially get 57 or even new all-time highs, right? But if Bitcoin fails to hold about $40,000, then we're looking at a potential downswing towards 35,600 for me and 35,000 for you, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that
so
is exactly right.
What about you, Akash? Are you looking at something different developing from a lower time frame?
Yeah, I don't think so. Like it's kind of similar. Let me just show you. Right. So from a 4-hour time frame perspective, right, I'm seeing this bear parent being formed right now, and I'm expecting it to move down to 37K, which kind of falls into this high probability reversal zone that I'm looking at, like which ranges from 34K to 38K. But so I'm not quite sure if it's actually gonna like drop right below this breakout and then go lower. There could be a possibility where it goes higher, collects the liquidity resting above these highs over here at 44K and then go back lower, right? It could also stop over here, which is 44K. But I am and have been looking at a retest of 35, 36, 37K for a very long time. And right now, the only thing holding Bitcoin from going lower is this 50 fib, which comes around 41K, kind of similar to what Jay was talking about. And yeah, so this fib extension ranges from the July 20th low to the recent September 7th swing high. That's one thing. And another thing that I see, so the reason I'm expecting this brief pump up to 44K is because of this divergence that I see on price and RSI right now. This could obviously fail, but this is something that I'm keeping an eye out for, right? So if we kind of start reversing somewhere around here, there is a possibility that this hidden bullish divergence plays out and we head to 44K. But if it doesn't, it's the same thing. Like we break below the 50 fib and head down to probably the 70.5 fib, which is roughly around 36K. And it kind of falls perfectly in line with the on-chain metrics that we're looking at over here, which ranges from 35K to 42K, right? And another reason why I think that a sell-off is, or maybe the sell-off that happened right now, or something that's about to happen, is because of the net realized profit and loss metric, right, which shows that people are taking profits, right, which shows and this massive spike indicates that people are booking profits. So yeah, these are the main three aspects that I'm looking at.
Is there anything that will get you bullish on Bitcoin? Like what price movement or what are you waiting to see in order to, you know, flip to the bullish side?
Yeah, so another bullish thing that I'm keeping an eye out for is this a very not that great, but a bullish falling wedge that I'm seeing right now. Right, for me, it is like a higher high. Right now, for me, it's maybe a higher high above this, or this would be like something to start. But eventually, I do want to see
$48,000.
this is 44.8 or roughly 45K, and this is 48K, right?
Okay.
So the reason why I'm expecting like for me to be extremely bullish is I think I mentioned this bearish breaker that I saw here, right? So we need to close at least like 50% of this thing, which comes around. So which comes around 55.2. So any daily candlestick close above 55.2 would make me bullish. In that case, I can expect it to be like a fake dead cat bounce, reversing and finally maybe then we could hope for the possibility of retest of the all-time high over here, or probably even 60K for that matter.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, I mean, it seems like overall we have reached consensus. I mean, it seems like we're all leaning a little bit bearish on Bitcoin right now, especially you know, if it fails to hold above $40,000. I mean, we're all expecting a downswing below yeah, around $35,000. I believe UACAS says something around $36,000. But yeah, that's basically the bearish target for all of us. Now on the upside, personally waiting for a close above 45K, which get me a little bit bullish. I mean, towards 50K. But then after that, yeah, I mean, I believe a higher high, basically above $54,000, will confirm that Bitcoin is heading north. It could potentially revisit the $16,000 level. You know, potentially retest the all-time high of $65,000. And if all of these resistance levels break, then we could be looking at $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. But as of right now, it does seem like Bitcoin is showing more bearish signs than bullish signs. So yeah, just be aware of that. And please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow all of us on Twitter.